y'all, so today we're going to talk about the relationship between Futurism and Fascism, the effects it had on Italian politics, and the effects it had on the Italian people. So the birth of Futurism actually started with Marinetti when he wrote the Futurist Manifesto. Basically, it just lays out the core principles of the Futurists. They wanted to change everything, abandon the old, attack everything with speed, force, just overall change, and aggressiveness, really. They were also quite obsessed with machine work. As we know, Marinetti once wrote about, having sexual thrills from a vehicle. The Futurists were a little crazy. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of people started to adopt this in Italy because they wanted something new, they wanted something fresh, they wanted something different, and they felt that it could bring about change that they've never seen before. So examples of these could be expressed in art, like Marinetti's wife, Benedetta Capra-Marinetti. She actually had several paintings, but the one that stuck out to me the most that I liked was the Speed of a Motorboat. And part of the futurist art, they use certain patterns and certain dimensional newness, I guess, in a way, to show how certain vehicles exert speed and showcase technology that way, like boats, airplanes, communications, that kind of thing. And then Marissa Mori, this is the physical ecstasy of maternity, and basically it's supposed to give the vibe that, birthing, machinery, newness, technology, modernity, that kind of sort of vibe. And then down here we have the Umberto Macchioni, and it's right in the Galleria, and I just thought it really expresses how, craziness was part of the futurist movement. That's the change they wanted to bring. They thought that that was the only way that they could be seen as new and gain a fresh reputation. And Marinetti actually wrote the Futurist Cookbook, which most of the recipes include things like dynamite, which, sounds, nuts, but that's just how it was. It was the going thing. And so, with that being in mind, there was also the birth of fascism. On the left here is Mussolini, and with him being the prime minister, he's famous for his rhetoric and, being the model fascist dictator that he was. I mean, he was Hitler's idol. Hitler was obsessed with him. And so, with that in mind, what's so similar about futurism and fascism is that they both want newness and speed and aggressiveness, and they don't really care what it costs in order to execute that. Oops, sorry. So, what's so important about the relationship between the fascists and the futurists? In this issue of Il Futurismo, which is the Futurist magazine, I actually found this issue, the May 1923 issue, talks about Mussolini being the head of the New Italy, and Marinetti and Mussolini actually got together and wrote this together, since Marinetti's the director of the magazine, and it's very, very, very similar to the Futurist Manifesto, and I actually went through and roughly translated this, and because I couldn't find a copy in English. But it's very, very close to the Futurist Manifesto in terms of speaking very aggressively, and if you don't adopt our mentality, then you're a coward, or you don't want to adopt the new Italian empire. Those kind of vibes I get exactly from this. And it just proves how similar they are and how these people worked together to bring about this new reputation for Italy that we're gonna come back. We're gonna finally get ourselves together. And so with these two guys, Marinetti and Mussolini, being the fathers of both of these movements, promising that speed and aggressiveness and modernity are going to come about through these behaviors. With Italy's involvement in World War II, how effective was that? Was it really effective? Was it effective at all? You look back at World War II and you're like, what really happened there? Well, there's a couple of pictures. We all know how Mussolini died. It wasn't great for him. Not a great turnout. And then I didn't want to get too graphic, but here's some rubble from the Milan bombing, and Germany ended up turning on the Italians. And besides that, mass genocide's never a good thing. When you start throwing speed and modernity around and aggressiveness towards other nations, it's never a good thing. Fatality is never a good thing. And that leads me to my next point, my last point, is that under Mussolini's regime, he was very effective in getting the people involved, no doubt. But it cost them a lot of people, and it cost everybody else a lot of people. So even though Italy needed reformation and reconstruction in politics and just the way they run things, Futurism and Fascism was definitely not the way to do it. Yeah. So, thank you.